quote this on me. There is no way the Orioles or Red Sox make the playoffs this season. Uh, yeah, yeah. There's no way. There's no way.
For me, I gotta build a snowman.
I don't think all Mavs fans look into the stats like I do.
I'm mixing names, swapping pitchers' names, and everyone today. So thanks for catching.
I've given up on Drew Lock. I think you trade him.
I set the bar really low at the NBA predictions.
How are we talking about the Thunder in a MLB preview? I have no idea.
That's a perfect name. What you said, name brand players. Like, it's not the Great Value Target brand toilet paper or whatever. It's the Charmin Ultra Strong.
I don't know if Nick Nurse is the coach for the Raptors. I don't know if he's the reason why they won the 2019 championship. I feel like that was more of a team effort. Yeah, this questions the firing of Dwayne Casey, who I think is a very underrated coach. He's making the best of the Detroit Pistons situation.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I was surprised that the Clippers gave up Lou Williams.
Everything's going wrong for the Lakers at the wrong time.
The Mavs cannot say we do not miss Seth Curry shooting threes.
Them losing like 40 players to the Chargers who play online.
I'm just gonna, and it lands to the Dolphins. I'm just gonna have to throw my hands into the air.
I agree 100%, and the reason why I agree is because this is a terrible trade for the long term.
To me, the Capitals really pushed all their chips for this season. So happy belated birthday to Madison Bowie.
Sam Bennett's someone I really expected to be a better player.
Hello, I'm Mike Grimes, and you've been listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our MLB wildcard episode. This is our extra episode, which we'll try to start doing every week. And this is the week of September 12th. So we will be looking over the schedule for the wildcard teams. So we were focusing on the AL teams first, and they have 2 spots open. And we will start with looking at the Blue Jays schedule. So Austin, I will tell you, they face the Twins on Friday the 17th, and then they face the Rays on the 20th, and then another series with the Twins, a 4-game series, and then they face the Yankees, and then they cap off the series with the Orioles. You have some tough teams with the Yankees and the Rays, but facing the Twins and the Orioles seems pretty good.
Yeah. It's a middle of the pack schedule. It's not too hard. They do face some easier teams like Twins. They play 7 games against the Twins, 3 against the Orioles. Those are relatively easy, but they do play the Rays again and the Yankees. That Yankee series may be determining who gets into the playoffs or who gets the 1 seed in the wild card and who gets the 2 seed in the wild card. It's going to be very interesting, especially with Vlad Guerrero chasing the Triple Crown. Like, how much does he actually care about that versus winning? And I mean, that does result in winning, but what we'll see as that goes along with the teams they're playing against. The Rays and Yankees are pretty good pitching teams, at least with their starters, while the Twins and Orioles have struggled with pitching the entire season. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's very true. So I think now we can move on to the Red Sox. And then one more thing before we finish talking about the Blue Jays. Did you see that Ohtani is probably not going to pitch anymore for the rest of the season?
Wow.
So if Vlad gets the Triple Crown,
I still think it's Ohtani. Ohtani's pitch. He's a top 15 Cy Young candidate, but added his hitting, he has to be MVP in my opinion. I mean, I could see Vlad argument. Vlad has to win the Triple Crown. If Vlad does not win the Triple Crown, I can't give it to him. I physically cannot. If he wins the Triple Crown, I will consider it. But I still think it's Ohtani until proven otherwise.
Ohtani wants to get to 10 wins. He's at 9 wins right now, and the last time he pitched, it was a three innings. But I do agree, it just makes it a lot closer if Ohtani does not pitch since that 3-inning outing. But that's just a comment I wanted to add. Now let's go to the Red Sox schedule. They face the Orioles on the 17th, then the Mets, then the Yankees, and then the Orioles, and then the Nationals. A little bit tougher than, or no. A
No,
little
I don't
bit
think so.
easier. Yeah, a little bit
I would
easier
say
than the Blue
easier
Jays.
because they don't play the Rays, and I don't think the Mets are all that. They do play the Orioles 6 times. They played the Nationals 3 times, and the Yankees 3 times. That Yankee series again could be determining who makes the playoffs, who gets the 1 seed, who gets the 2 seed. It's really close between these three AL East teams, and really, if the White Sox and Astros start to falter at the end of the season, all three of these teams could have a better record than both of those teams, and one of them could miss the playoffs. I really think we could see some playoff changes depending on the NL and how it looks right now with the Giants and Dodgers dominating, but one of them getting to play in the wild card game and then playing each other in the NLDS. We could see some playoff changes.
Yeah, we could. It's very true. Now I think we can move on to the Yankees schedule. They start off with facing the Cleveland Indians on Friday the 17th. Then they face the Texas Rangers, then the Red Sox, then the Blue Jays, and then they end off the season with the Rays. So that's pretty tough. Cleveland, they're in a weird spot, which we talked about in the MLB Opinions of the Week episode. But they still can put up with a fight, in my opinion. The Rangers, y'all should be able to win those games. But then you face Red Sox, Blue Jays, and then the Rays to cap off the season. That's a tough stretch.
It is, but they don't have to sweep the Red Sox and Blue Jays. What if I was it right now? Dream scenario: they win 5 out of 6 games versus the Indians and Rangers combined. They win 2-1 both of the series, Red Sox and Blue Jays, and then they play the Rays and they win that series 2-1 as well. That's the situation. If they do that, they lose 3 games. They win. How many is that? That is 11 games. Yeah, it's 11 games. They go 11-3 the rest of the season. Uh, oh no, is that 11-4? Yeah, it's 11-4. They go 11-4 throughout the rest of the season, and that's really what I think they'll easily make the playoffs. But it's a must-win series. Blue Jays, Red Sox have to win.
Agreed. So now let's go to the Athletics schedule, where they face the Angels Friday the 17th, then the Mariners, then the Astros, and then the Mariners once again, and then they cap off the season facing the Astros. This does not look good for them. Angels, I think they can win that series. Mariners, it depends how well the Mariners play, but I don't see them beating the Astros in either of those two series that they face. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the A's look out. This is why I had them out. Not only do I think the Mariners are just a better team, despite the fact that they're half a game behind them, but playing the Astros twice going to be really difficult.
Yeah, so now we can move on to the Mariners schedule, where they will be going against the Royals Friday. Then they face the Athletics, then the Angels, and then the Athletics once again, and then they cap off the season facing the Angels. That's a little bit better than the Athletics schedule. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's much better. I would say that that's most likely the second easiest schedule that we mentioned besides Boston. Boston only has one tough opponent left. That's the Yankees. Uh, Technically, Seattle only has one tough opponent left, the Athletics, but they play them twice. So I would say that Seattle has a good chance, especially if they can win 6 out of those 7 Athletic games. They really put themselves in a good situation. I see no reason why they would lose a game to the Royals, and I think they could win 5 out of 6 against the Angels. And if they do what I just said, they'd only lose 2 of their last 14 games.
Yeah, so now that concludes our review of the AL schedule. Now we go on to the NL. And there, of course, is the race for the NL East between the Braves, Phillies, and New York Mets for the division. So we're going to look at those schedules. So with the Braves schedule, they will be facing the San Francisco Giants Friday. Then they face the Diamondbacks, the Padres, Phillies, and then they cap off the season with the Mets. They have some tough opponents with the Giants and the Padres, and with the Phillies. Mets, though, especially at the end when we think the Mets are probably out of it. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
And I mean, this really gives the Phillies an opportunity because the Phillies obviously play them, but the Phillies, I don't believe, play the Giants or the Padres the rest of the season. So I do think it gives them a chance of moving on and winning the NL East. And I think if they win the NL East, Bryce Harper is the NL MVP.
Interesting. I don't disagree. I really don't, because Harper has been playing really well. So that's something we will keep our eye on. So now we can move on to the Phillies schedule, where they do not face the Giants. They face the Mets on Friday, then the Orioles, the Pirates, then the Braves, but then they end the season facing the Marlins. That is pretty nice schedule. What are your thoughts?
That's definitely the easiest schedule that we mentioned. I would say that the Yankees are better than the Braves right now, considering the fact that they also have a better record in general, and they also won the series versus the Braves when they played each other earlier in the season. So I would say that the Yankees are better than the Braves, and so that 3-game series against the Braves is easier than the 3-game series that the Red Sox has against the Yankees. So I do think the Phillies are in a great position of winning the NL East.
Will it happen though?
I think it does. I think the
Okay.
Braves fall out, and that really could spell negativity in the locker room as they made many moves. They picked up Jock Peterson, they picked up Adam Duvall, they picked up a lot of guys, but without Acuna, it still looks like they are without that star power that's needed right now when it matters to win games.
Yeah, and they also picked up Jorge Soler. I think they make it though, but it's coming pretty close. So now let's go to the Mets schedule. They face the Phillies Friday, now the Red Sox, then the Brewers, and then the Marlins, and then the Braves to end off the season. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the Mets are out. We mentioned this many times. They have a hard schedule, a very hard schedule. All the teams that they're facing are either playoff contenders or already in the playoffs or locked the playoffs, except for the Marlins. And the 4 games that they have against the Marlins, I still think they lose at least one of those. So we'll see what happens, but I think they're out.
Yeah, and given the injury to DeGrom, or the injuries to DeGrom, um, that's a huge player that they are missing right now. And they're also having some trouble with the fans as Lindor's giving them thumbs down. That's a celebration. But now we can move on to the Cardinals. Um, so I accidentally pulled up the
Was that
Arizona
Lindor
Cardinals
and
schedule.
Baez? I thought it was Baez.
Oh, it's Baez. I'm so sorry, Lindor. It's Baez.
Got it.
Thank you for catching me on that. But it's most of the team, right? But Baez is just at the forefront.
Yes.
But so that's a thing to keep on thinking about. So now I got the St. Louis Cardinals schedule. They face the Padres on Friday, then the Brewers, then the Cubs, and then the Brewers once again, and then they end the season with facing the Cubs. Some very tough opponents with the Padres, who are also fighting, and then with the Brewers, of course. I'm hoping they don't make it because they were an out. And if they make it in, that is going to hurt me. And considering that my other in was the Yankees and how that's on a shaky ground, I really need the Cardinals to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, the Padres are a half game behind the Cardinals, so this series that starts today, St. Louis versus Padres, is the most important series of the entire season right now, especially with these two teams. They play 7 games against the Brewers, 7 games against the Cubs during the home stretch. So those games are going to be very, very important. I definitely expect them to win almost all the games against the Cubs, at least 5, maybe 6 out of the 7. The Brewers, they just have to win more than they lose, 4 out of 3. And then they would go on and face the Padres, and which I really think they're a better team than, especially with how the Padres have played recently against the Giants and the Dodgers recently. They didn't win either of those 2 series. Um, and the Padres have the hardest schedule I've ever seen in my entire life to end off the year, basically. So, we'll see what happens, but it's not looking too good for your prediction.
Oh yeah, we'll see at the end. I have hope. Yeah, against the Dodgers, the Padres got swept, and then they snuck out just one win, and that was last. There was actually they snuck out 2 wins
Yeah, but
against
it's
the
2 out of
Giants.
4, so they didn't win the
Well, yeah,
series.
well, yeah, no, but yeah, it was a rough stretch till they got those 2 wins. They faced the Cardinals, and then the Giants again, then the Braves, and then the Dodgers, and then they end off the season facing the Giants. That is definitely a tough schedule. Or
Hardest
that's
schedule
definitely
on
the
the board.
toughest. Yeah,
They're not making the playoffs. I'm saying it right now. They're not. The Giants and Dodgers are going to be playing to the last game to try to get the best record, not only in the NL but in the entire league, the entire MLB. So the Padres are going to be facing 100% of the Giants' power, 100% of the Dodgers' power, and then the grinded out St. Louis Cardinals. Um, right now, if I was going to make a prediction, I know we're not doing points on this, but I would say that the Phillies win the AL East, and the second wildcard team is the Braves. But I mean, we're really going to have to see how the Reds and Cardinals do. But I would be absolutely shocked if the Mets or Padres made the playoffs. The Padres just do not have the schedule or really the health with Blake Snell being out and other guys being out. I just can't see them making it.
and they've lost some key contributors for prospects that could come up and play because they traded to get those big name players like Blake Snell, like Yu Darvish, like oh my gosh, why am I forgetting his name? Second baseman. Um,
Oh, Adam Frazier.
yeah, Adam Frazier. Just all that you've. That's why a strong farm system is helpful, so you can make trades, but also have good backup players. So now we'll look at the Reds, as this is the final team we'll be looking at. They face the Dodgers on Friday, then the Pirates, then the Nationals, and then the White Sox, and then the Pirates once again. So that's a pretty nice schedule, but you do have some tough opponents with the White Sox and the Dodgers. But everything else in between seems pretty nice.
Yeah, and it's it's tough. I mean, the Reds have the Reds and Cardinals both have games on the Phillies, but the Phillies are just red hot right now, and they don't have that hard of a schedule coming up. So it's really going to come down to if the Reds can beat the Dodgers in the series. Can they do that? Because if they can win that series, I think they have a legitimate chance. Um, and then they at least have to split versus the White Sox. Um, the Cardinals and Reds have a very good chance, but so do the Braves and the Phillies. I think there's 4 teams here to fill up 2 spots, but the Phillies and Braves are going to take one of those spots as the AL East, the NL East champion, and then the other is going to have to either fill a wild card spot or are going to be out altogether. So the Cardinals and Reds and the loser of the NL East battle are going to be fighting for that one wild card spot, while the rest of the AL East teams, NL East teams, I don't know why I keep on saying AL East. Well, I mean, we have 3 of the AL East teams here in this video, so that's probably why. But we have, it's going to be interesting to see who wins the NL East. So that's going to be, uh, it's really going to show who gets that advantage of not having to play in the wild card game. Like I said, I don't really consider the wild card to be the playoffs. Uh, it's a 1 game play in, just like the NBA had this past year. It's not the playoffs. Stats don't count towards the playoffs, even though it does for the wild card game. But yeah, so one of those teams. Think about it, the NL East winner could make it farther in the playoffs than the Giants or Dodgers if the Giants or Dodgers loses their wild card game, which I just don't think is right. The both teams in the AL wild card most likely will have a better record than the NL East divisional winner. So the fact that the Giants or Dodgers could be knocked out at this point, just have 4 playoff teams. We'll see though.
You spoke. It's all true. We could see that happen. Remember to put it in NFL terms when the Eagles barely won the NFC East. I think it came closer because of the Carson Wentz injury, and everyone doubted them, and then they went on to win the Super Bowl. So you could see, not to that extent, but you could see a team going farther than a even better team. And it's just so tough right now in the NL because of how good the Giants and Dodgers are. So that concludes our MLB wildcard episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes for this week of September 12th. And thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.